Why did a thick envelope in a glass lobby end my story in one breath? How did I go from laughing at my husband with our friends to a stranger saying my full name while cameras watched? Can a lesson I tried to teach ever explain how fast a life can break? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. My name is Ardith Vale, and I believed I was the bold one in our quiet marriage. I am 33, a junior brand manager who sells excitement for a living, so I told myself I deserved it at home too. My husband, Evan, is 35 and works as a school counselor. He listened to other people's crises all day and came home empty for mine. I decided he needed a push, a shock, a story that would wake him up. I told friends I wanted proof. I told myself rules were cages. When I looked at his best friend, Caleb, I called it a test, not a choice. I framed Evan as the problem. I said he was cold. I said he never fought for me. I said a good man should chase. When he asked what I needed, I said he should already know. When he said we could plan a weekend, I said planning was the disease. I liked the attention more than the truth. I thought sleeping with Caleb would light a fire under Evan. I thought it would make him see me and hold me closer. It did light a fire, not the kind I wanted. I came home late and stood in our small kitchen with my bag still on my shoulder. I told myself I would be calm and smart. I opened the fridge and took nothing. I wanted Evan to notice the silence and panic. He walked in from the hall and said he had already put our daughter to bed. He asked if I had eaten. I said I was fine. I said I had a big day and a bigger night planned for the rest of the week. I watched his face for a flinch. He only nodded. He set 2 mugs on 2 different spots on the counter, like they were magnets that repelled each other. I decided that meant he did not want me enough. I began my small speech. I said I felt unseen. I said routine was killing me. I said I wanted proof I still mattered. He asked what proof meant. I told him a good husband would already know. He suggested a weekend away. I said planning was the disease. I spoke like I was a coach and he was a player who missed practice. He did not raise his voice. He said he was tired and wanted a quiet night. I decided he was failing the test I had not told him about. I texted Tamsin while he rinsed dishes. I told her I would shake things up. She sent a row of fire emojis and told me to own my story. I sent her a half-smile selfie with the kitchen light behind me so my hair looked like a halo. I liked seeing myself in that light. It made me feel clean while I felt dirty. Evan leaned on the counter and told me he wanted to understand. I decided to call that speech boring. I said listening was not enough. I said action was what I needed. He asked what action looked like. I told him he should fight for me. He asked what he was fighting. I said he was fighting my fear of being invisible. The words sounded neat and important. They were not. He said we could talk on Saturday after Maya's playdate. I rolled my eyes. I said Saturday was for laundry and that I was done begging. I was not begging. I was baiting. I told myself I was brave. Brave women did not wait for permission. I opened Caleb's chat and scrolled up to an old joke he had made about my brand campaign. I wrote that the copy still made me laugh. He wrote back fast. He asked if I was coming to his gym that week. I said maybe. Evan moved without drama. He carried his mug to the table and packed Maya's lunch. He asked if I had seen the volunteer sign up for the school fair. I said I was too busy. He said we could split the time. I said I did not split crumbs. I wanted a feast. He looked tired at the sink, and I enjoyed feeling sharper than him. I told myself I was the only adult in the room because adults took risks. It was a strange thought, but it worked on me. When I walked past him, I noticed his phone wake on the counter. A soft chime showed a calendar reminder. It read, Maple Grove, 7:40 a.m. It meant nothing to me. He swiped it away and locked the screen. He said he needed to prep for an early visit. I asked what visit. He said it was work stuff. His voice was light, but his hands were too neat, like he was arranging the world into squares. I told him that his job made him safe but dull. He said he loved his job because it meant calm for other people. I said I did not marry calm. He said he had never promised fireworks. I said he should have. He went quiet for a long second. He said he would take the guest room tonight to give me space. I said he always chose the easy road. I wanted him to snap. I wanted him to grab me with words and vow to keep me. He rinsed his cup and set it down gently, as if a loud sound would wake the whole building. I texted Tamsin again. I wrote that he did the guest room thing, like always. She wrote that men respect pressure. She told me to showcase my glow and stop protecting his image. I already knew what I would do. I told myself I would make him see that I had options. I went to the bathroom mirror and took off my lipstick and put it on again. I liked the shape. When I came out, he was walking down the hall with a folded blanket under his arm. He said he hoped I slept well. I told him rest was for people who had nothing to lose. He did not answer. He only looked for the light switch. My phone buzzed in my palm. Caleb sent a winking face and asked if I was staying up late. My heart sped up. I deleted the preview. The apartment felt too clean. The counters were bare. The sink was empty. Even our framed photo on the shelf looked like it had moved away from the frame. I thought about kissing Caleb just to see if any part of me could still surprise itself. I told myself a kiss would only be research. I told myself my vows were strong enough to survive smart experiments. I believed my own story because it was tidy. I heard a small sound at the other end of the hall. It was the click of a door, gentle but final, like a sentence ending with a period. The guest room closed. The latch settled. The apartment held its breath. The door latch clicked as he shut the guest room. I looked down at my phone and smiled at the message I had not opened yet. The next morning, I wore a blazer that made me look like I gave speeches. I walked into the open plan office and felt eyes on me. I felt proud of that. I told myself the eyes meant I had presence. Tamsin waved me over to a breakout booth. She asked if I had posted anything fun last night. I said not yet. She said the night was young, even during the day, and laughed at her own line. I laughed too, because people like to hear echoes. I started a story on my phone with a boomerang of my coffee cup and the caption about choosing spark over routine. It was not about coffee. Everyone knew that. I tagged no one. I did not need to. Tamsin commented immediately with small flames. 2 others from my team sent reaction faces. I felt tall. Our manager, Mr. Patel, walked by and asked for a quick word in a calm tone. We sat in a small glass room where noise was soft and faces were bigger than thoughts. He said he had seen a few posts, and some were hard to separate from the brand. He asked if I could be careful. I told him it was personal. He said personal was still public when you worked in marketing. He said clients could get nervous. I said clients loved boldness. He said clients loved predictability. I smiled like I knew more about love than he did. He did not smile back. He said our work mattered because it reduced noise. I said I understood. I did not. Back at my desk, I messaged the group chat. I wrote that my manager had concerns because my truth was loud. Tamsin wrote that men feared bright women. Another coworker sent a toast gif. I liked the attention. It made my chest warm. I did not check my real work for a while. At lunchtime, I saw a voicemail from Diana, my mother-in-law. She asked, in her gentle way, if our schedule was okay for Maya that week. She said she could help if needed. I listened twice to hear if she had a hidden knife. She did not. That annoyed me. I wanted a villain to push against. I called her back and said everything was fine. I said Evan was busy and I was holding it all together. She said I sounded tired. I said I was strong. When I hung up, I told myself she was judging me. Maybe she was not. It did not matter. The story worked better if she was. After work, I went to the supermarket. I put wine, fruit, and snack bars in the cart because that looked like balance. At the produce aisle, I saw a neighbor from the school pickup line. She looked at her phone, then at me, then back down. I imagined what she saw. My caption from the morning, the old photo of Caleb from the gym opening, some tag that placed me in the middle of a crowd I craved. I looked at my reflection in the freezer door and liked the composed way my face hid my thoughts. I texted Evan and told him he should show up if he cared. He replied that he would be home at 6. I read that twice and said in my head that the words were plain, not passionate. I told myself he was failing again. I was putting him through a course he did not know he had enrolled in. At home, he was early. He had his laptop open on the table. A spreadsheet filled the screen with initials and dates. He minimized it when I came in. He asked about my day. I talked about a pitch that did not exist yet. He asked if I had time to look at the school fair list. I said the fair was not my crisis. He started to say something about our calendar, then stopped. He moved his laptop to the side and made space like he expected a storm. I enjoyed the feeling of someone expecting me to be difficult. It gave me control. I walked past him and let my bag slide to the floor, slow and careful, the way a cat might drop a small broken thing. I told him our problem was his chill. I told him I needed a man who chased me down the hall when I walked away. He said he did not want to fight. I called that line weak. He said calm was not weakness. I told him calm was laziness in a tie. My phone buzzed again. It was Caleb reacting to my morning story with a flame. He asked if I needed fresh air that night. I pictured myself in his gym, in mirrors that made bodies look certain of themselves. I told myself it would be simple to drive there and talk. I told myself talking could be a kind of medicine. I was good at naming things until they sounded safe. I checked on Maya. She sat on her floor, drawing a castle with a thick door. She asked if Daddy would read the night story. I said yes. She asked why Daddy slept in the guest room when she had not been loud. I told her grown-ups sometimes needed quiet to think. She asked if I needed quiet too. I said I needed spark. She did not know that word and nodded anyway. I kissed her head and felt something small tilt inside me, like a picture frame not quite straight. I fixed it by telling myself I was doing all this for her in the long run. That was a lie I liked, because it let me move. Back in the kitchen, Evan set 2 plates, one near the sink and one at the far end of the table. It looked like a stage. I made myself the lead. I told him I planned to go out after dinner for a while. He asked if I could send him the time, because he wanted to keep the evening routine steady for Maya. I said routines choke love. He said routines hold children. I said we could disagree. He said we could, and that he would be home. I posted another story with a photo of the sky from our balcony. I added a line about choosing passion. I did not mention anyone. I did not need to. I knew the crowd would add names. I put my phone face down and tasted the sweet attention that came, even when I could not see it yet. It felt like sugar dissolved in water, no texture, only rush. We ate. We did not argue. The air hummed with things not said. He cleared plates and stacked them neatly. He always made stacks like that. Something in me curled a lip at the neatness. I wanted a mess at my feet so I could say he had failed me with chaos. I wanted any excuse to be the storm and blame the rain on him. I told him I would be late. He said he would lock the door at 10. I said locks were symbols of fear. He said locks were normal. I said he could keep calling dull things normal. He looked tired again. He nodded and said he would see me later. His voice stayed even. It bothered me more than shouting would have. I put on lipstick again and checked the angle of my jaw in the hallway mirror. I liked the way the light made me look decisive. I picked up my phone to text Caleb. My screen lit with 3 new tags from Tamsin and 2 others from my team. They had posted an old boomerang from a rooftop, the one with me leaning into Caleb for a laugh. The caption said the city was brighter when brave people chose sparks. Each tag appeared on my lock screen like a small slap I had asked for. At the same time, A text from our manager arrived. He asked for a quick word tomorrow morning about brand risk and boundaries. I felt taller and smaller at once. I told myself it was still my story. I told myself I could outrun any consequence with a better caption. Then the supermarket neighbor liked the post, and another parent from school added a comment with eyes wide, and the attention turned hot instead of warm. I reached for the door, ready to leave and call Caleb on the way. My phone buzzed again and again in my hand. Notifications stacked like dominoes, each one tipping the next. Tagged photos pinged during checkout and kept pinging now. A bright string of alarms I had set for myself. I opened the thread and watched the flames rise. I let the tags push me out the door and into the night. The rooftop bar sat on a building with glass sides, so you could see yourself becoming the kind of person you said you were. Tamsin waved me up like a director. She asked if I was ready to give a speech. I said I was always ready. Music thumped, and people lifted their phones before they lifted their eyes. I felt taller than my own bones. Caleb stood near the rail in a soft jacket that made him look like a decision. He asked if I needed air. I said the whole sky could not hold me tonight. I could hear myself perform. I did not care. Tamsin called for a toast. The group asked what we were celebrating. I said courage. No one asked what I had done to earn that word. They only liked the shape of it in the dark. Someone pushed a glass into my hand, and the chant rose. The cameras stared, red dots like tiny hearts. I said the marriage bed could not be a duty roster. I said routine killed desire, and women had to choose fire. I watched the words land because I wanted witnesses. Caleb put his arm at my back so light it felt like a promise. I angled my body toward him, and a flash caught the pose. I knew the pose read as closeness. I wanted it to read that way. I told myself it was strategy. Strategy is just a colder word for hunger. My phone lit with a text from Evan that said he was parked downstairs. He asked if I wanted a ride. I read it twice. I told myself a ride was not a fight. I told myself he needed to prove he would step into chaos for me. I sent no answer. I stayed where the lights were. Caleb asked if I felt free. I said I felt seen. The truth was simpler. I felt loud. Evan must have come up to the lobby because a minute later I saw his reflection in the elevator glass, far below, standing still with his hands in his pockets. He did not come to the roof. He did not make a scene. He spoke to no one. That made me angrier than if he had shouted. I told myself silence was disrespect. Silence can also be a shield, but I was not interested in shields unless they were mine. After another round of photos, Caleb said the gym was empty and we could talk there without noise. I said talk sounded clean. We slipped away while the chant for a second toast started all over again. In the small elevator, I checked my reflection. I did not look like a villain. I looked like a woman who knew her lines. The gym lights were low. Mirrors multiplied us until we became a crowd by ourselves. Caleb asked if I was sure. I said certainty had been waiting for me. I told myself a single night could break open the ice on my marriage like spring. I stepped into his space because stepping felt like choosing. When his phone buzzed, he flipped it over. I saw Evan's name on the lock screen from an old team thread, the one they used for games. The message preview only showed a time. It read, Community Center, 3:10 p.m. I did not know why that detail bothered me. It felt like a calendar breathing. I set my bag down and pretended I did not see it. I talked fast about being brave. I talked slow about being lonely. Caleb agreed with whatever language I used. Agreeing is easy when the lights are kind. After, I told myself nothing had changed because I had planned for change. That is not how change works. We walked to the parking garage. It was the hour when a city forgets it is loud. My heels marked the concrete in tidy taps. Caleb asked if I felt better. I said I felt correct. As I reached for his car door, a set of footsteps paused behind a column. Not close, not far, just there. The air turned thin. Caleb asked if I wanted him to check. I said no. I said no because I wanted the idea of being watched, but not the truth. We slid into the seats, and I laughed a small fake laugh to show I owned the scene. It sounded wrong in the dead air. My phone buzzed again, then went quiet, then buzzed once more. The screen showed private for a second and then went black. A calendar notification on my own phone blinked up next. Meeting. Personal. I could not even remember when I set that. I liked the look of the words. It made me feel important. I told Caleb we would keep this discreet. He said discretion was his middle name. I smiled at that empty line and told myself I had done everything for the right cause. I told myself Evan would feel the fear and chase me. I told myself a story in the car that had a happy ending because I was tired and I deserved it. When Caleb pulled out, my stomach dropped the way it does at the top of a hill. The city light slid over the windshield like water. I decided I was clean again because I had decided it. At home, the apartment was dark, but not asleep. I could smell the last hour, dish soap, the faint paper scent of a printer that had run and then cooled, the ghost of coffee. On the table, I saw 2 separate mugs, one near the fridge, one near the window. The guest room door stood ajar. I walked past without looking in. I wanted my own reflection instead, so I found it in the kitchen glass and told it I had done something brave. My lock screen held one new message from Evan that never made it to the thread. It was gone by the time I opened the phone, as if he had typed and then erased his whole history. I locked the phone and unlocked it again, like the second try would pull it back. It did not. Someone had recorded my rooftop toast, and a fresh clip loaded as my lock screen preview, while I stood alone in the kitchen, the camera flash freezing me beside Caleb. I pressed play, even though I already knew every word. In the morning, we had a birthday to attend, a family one with a long table and too many chairs. I wore a soft dress and planned my lines. I told myself a good story needed a stage and a crowd. We walked in late, and my mother, Ruth, waved like she had tickets to a show. She asked if we were good. I said we were honest. She laughed and said honesty always wins. My mother likes fast answers. She would hate to see how slow truth walks. Diana sat near the middle with the neat gift bag and that careful face she wears when she is trying to be kind without lying. She asked if we needed help with pickup this week. I said we were fine. She asked if I was comfortable with some of my posts being public because other parents talk. I said awareness was healthy. She said privacy was also healthy. Her voice stayed level. That rankled me. I needed a villain in this scene, and she refused the role. I made a joke about Evan's rulebook when the cake arrived. People laughed because jokes let them off the hook. Jonah, my brother, looked at Evan and then at me and did not laugh. He asked if I wanted water. I said I wanted attention. I did not say it out loud, but I could feel it hum under my tongue. After cake, Maya tugged my sleeve and asked where Daddy slept. She asked it like weather, simple and unarmed. I told her adults sometimes needed space. She asked if space meant the guest room. I said yes. She asked if space was because she had been noisy this week. I said no and swallowed the dryness in my mouth. Evan knelt and told her we both loved her and that grown-up choices were not about her. He said that as if the sentence could be a shield. She nodded, but the nod was thin. The table went quiet for a breath. I hated the quiet because it let my own words echo. Ruth filled the space with another laugh. She said couples need spice and that people should not judge. Diana placed her hand flat on the tablecloth and asked if this was a talk for the restaurant. Ruth said family could handle family anywhere. Evan stared at the candles that had been blown out and asked if we could move this later. He used a tone I had not heard on him before, a tone that sounded like a door closing softly. I called him overcautious. He did not answer. His not answer felt heavier than any speech. After lunch, we took Maya to the park. The sun sat behind clouds like it had no opinion. Maya climbed, then came back to the bench and asked if there would be 2 homes now. She asked it like a fact that had walked up to her. I said no. Evan said we were working on schedules that made sense. I glared at him for that word. Schedules sounded like paperwork and lines, and I was not ready to see my life in straight rows. 2 parents from school walked by and looked at their phones, then at me. One whispered something and bit her lip in that fake sorry way. I felt the heat of being watched again, but this time it burned. I checked my own phone and saw a new clip of the rooftop toast, cleaner than the first, with captions added by someone who loved drama. The clip showed my arm leaning toward Caleb and a frame where my smile looked hungry. I wanted to write a long post explaining my hunger as art. I did not write it. I only held the phone like it could cool me. Back at our place, I saw a red circle around a date on the wall planner. It was a Saturday 2 weeks away. There was no title, only the circle, like a silent mouth. On the desk, a thin binder labeled Utilities was thicker than the bills inside it could explain. In the drawer, a new small key lay on the ring with the others. When Evan closed the drawer, I heard the lock click. He said he would take Maya to the library for an hour. I asked if he was hiding something. He said he was keeping things in order. I said order was control. He said order kept children steady. He does not raise his voice, and sometimes that makes you hear your own too clearly. I messaged Caleb to ask if he could tell anyone who asked that we were only friends. No answer. I sent a second with a little joke. No answer. I told myself he was busy. Then Tamsin sent a screenshot where someone had tagged Caleb and asked a messy question. He replied with a white flag emoji and no words. I felt something drop inside me, not a moral insight, only the sense that my stage partner had left the stage. That evening, the parent committee had a meeting at the community center. I volunteered for something big because busy sounds like virtue when your life is a fire. People whispered at the edges. Evan arrived late and sat apart, near a window, with headphones on for a short call. I watched him nod to nothing and take notes in a small pad. He never takes notes for show. I tried to read what he wrote from across the room, but his hand covered the lines like a gate. After the meeting, I asked if he planned to keep ignoring me. He said he had heard me clearly these past weeks. He said he needed to keep things steady for Maya. I told him he made me the villain. He said I had made public choices and he could not chase me into a crowd. He used the word protect. I hate that word when I am the one being stopped by it. Protect feels like no. We walked to the car. The parking lot lights painted us flat. He opened the back door for Maya and checked the seatbelt like he always does, slow and sure. He closed the door and leaned on the roof for a second, like he was leaning on a thought. I said the internet had made things look worse than they were. He said the internet had not told me what to do. My mouth opened and closed, ready to produce a line that would make me right again. The line did not come. At home, the mail lay in 2 stacks that had been flipped, like someone had searched and then put it back neat. A USB stick with today's date sat under a folder marked taxes. My skin prickled with the smallness of the details. None of it was dramatic. All of it felt like a room getting ready for new furniture. I told myself this was paranoia. Then I heard a shredder hum for a second from the back room and stop. I walked toward the sound, and the door closed before I reached it. When we put Maya to bed, she asked if we would both be there in the morning. I said yes too fast. Evan said yes, and then added that he had a morning errand. He did not say where. I told myself it was nothing. He kissed Maya's forehead and walked out with his hands in his pockets, like he was trying to keep them still. I stood in the hall and started to draft a long message to the group chat about forgiveness and modern love. I deleted it. I started another about choice and bravery. I deleted that too. The crowd had gone from cheering to watching with their hands over their mouths, and I could feel the change like a draft under a door. When I stepped into the living room, Evan was there. He looked tired but not crushed. He said he would handle everything properly. He did not sound angry. He sounded like someone who had read the instructions and put the tools in a row. I laughed because I thought laughing would shrink his words. He did not fight the laugh. He only nodded and walked to the guest room with the sure walk of someone who had decided where the exits were. I stared at my phone and typed a message to Caleb that said we needed to meet tonight at 10. The message showed delivered and then stayed that way, a small grey stone in the blue river of my screen. I told myself I still had time to fix everything with one bright speech. Evan's calm line about handling it properly hung in the air while my phone sat heavy in my hand, unread, and the locked drawer clicked once in the quiet. The community centre smelled like lemon cleaner and old paper. I arrived early and signed my name too big on the volunteer sheet. I told myself leadership would fix my image. People filtered in with tight smiles. A father asked if my posts were performance or confession. I said they were art. He said art had splash damage. I laughed like I did not know the term. I knew it. Evan came in late and sat near a window, a little apart from the folding circle. He kept his voice low when he spoke to the chair. He put on headphones for a short call and took notes in a small pad. I watched his pen move. He never writes for show. He looked like a person saving facts in lines. I announced I would run the raffle. The chair clapped politely. My eyes wanted the whole room, and the room wanted none of me. On break, Ruth sent a text saying she loved me, but the online part was too much. She said I should pause for Maya. I told her I was fixing the future. She asked if I was sure this was the right tool. I wrote that the right tool was shock. She said shock is not medicine. I stopped answering. Jonah messaged that he would help with pickup this week if needed, but would not lie to anyone. He said he would not be a story prop. I typed that he was dramatic, then deleted it. After the meeting, I walked to a co-working space I sometimes rented. I liked the glass walls and quiet printers. I opened a new post and wrote about choice, then deleted it. I wrote about bravery, then deleted that too. A cloud sync pop-up blinked on my laptop. File uploaded successfully. I did not remember saving anything. On the side of the screen, browser tabs sat open for storage options and notary near me. I told myself those were ads. I told myself he was only being tidy. My chest did not believe me. At home, the guest bed showed a crease in the middle, like someone had slept on top of the quilt. In the kitchen, 2 mugs faced opposite walls on opposite counters, like a diagram. The desk drawer clicked when Evan closed it as I entered. He said he needed to finish something. I asked what. He said paperwork. I mocked the word as if it were a hobby. He said routines keep children steady. I called that a cage. He did not argue. I cooked a quick dinner to feel domestic in a way that could be photographed. Maya hummed in the next room. She asked if Saturday would be library day with Daddy. I said yes. Evan said yes, and added that he would confirm times by message. He did not say which app. He wiped the counter clean and stacked mail into 2 neat piles. I flipped the piles, then flipped them back. He pretended not to see. When Maya slept, I told Evan we should go out somewhere public and show we were fine. He said we were not fine, and pretending would not help Maya. I said a grand gesture would reset the story. He said he would handle everything properly. He used the word like a handle on a door I could not open. I called him cold. He said he was done with heat that burned our child. I said he was dramatic. He said he was finished explaining. He walked down the hall. The hum of a shredder rose and stopped. A phone alarm chimed from the bedroom with a label that read, "Paper drop 8:25 a.m. I wanted to laugh but could not find the laugh. On the desk, a single USB stick lay under a folder marked taxes with today's date in marker. I told myself I was the brave one and that he was just filing. I took my phone and texted Caleb that we should meet at 10 to get our story straight. The message showed delivered and stayed grey. I sent a second message with a joke. It stayed grey too. A muted phone lit up on the table as private, and then went dark while the locked drawer clicked shut. Cliffhanger. I stared at the black screen and told myself tomorrow I would seize the room again. Morning light made the office tower lobby look like a glass aquarium. I chose a seat near the plant wall, so my profile would read calm if anyone filmed. I told myself I would pull Evan aside, take a soft selfie, and post a caption about forgiveness. I rehearsed lines about growth. I practiced a half smile in the reflection of the kiosk screen. My hand shook and I said it was the coffee. The elevator bell chimed. Evan stepped out in a plain jacket, no tie, with a folder tucked under one arm. He stopped at a polite distance. He asked if we could speak for a moment. I started with my plan. I said we could fix the rumor with one clear message. I said Caleb meant nothing. I said my mother-in-law had poisoned the water. I said many things in a quick stack. He listened. He did not reach for me. He said we would use the tools our city offered. A man in a neat vest stepped close and said my full name. His voice was bland and exact. He held out a manila envelope. He said he had documents for me and asked me to confirm receipt. Heads turned the way heads always do for quiet theatre. Someone raised a phone and pretended to check messages. The building guard turned his face so he could see without staring. My mouth went dry. I took the envelope because I was not going to be the woman who caused a scene in a lobby. The top page showed my name and Evan's name in heavy type. There were lines I did not want to read, and blocks of text that arranged my life into paragraphs. It was the family law track, a divorce petition with temporary orders. It listed a temporary custody schedule beginning today. It granted temporary exclusive use of the apartment to Evan for stability and set a pickup time for Maya after school. It required future communication through a co-parenting app. It asked me to sign acknowledgement of service, right there with the messenger. I looked up as if Evan might laugh and say it was a test. He did not laugh. He said he would meet me at the school gate at the listed time, and that we would follow the schedule because Maya came first. His voice did not wobble. I said the orders were unfair. He said the court had temporary paths for people who needed them, and that we would walk those paths with dignity. He thanked the server for his time. The server printed a small receipt at the lobby kiosk. The printer spooled, and the stamp thunked. The sound made my heart jump. I signed because my hand knew how. The pen felt heavy and silly at once. Someone nearby pretended to pick up a dropped coin so they could see better. The guard said the line must keep moving. Evan nodded to him and then to me. He said he would send the app invite by noon. He said he hoped I would keep things offline for Maya's sake. He did not ask for a selfie. He did not take one step closer. He walked past me, not fast and not slow, and the glass doors opened with a hush that felt cruel. I watched his reflection shrink in the lobby floor. My phone buzzed with a calendar ping I did not remember setting. It read, "Meeting, personal 11:05 a.m. The printer spooled and the receipt stamp landed as Evan crossed the threshold. Cliffhanger. The door slid shut and I was left in the aquarium light with the envelope in my hands, cut to black. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.